The readings will now be given by Craig.
The Bible. Isaiah. Comfort ye, my people, saith your God. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. John. Jesus went unto the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again to the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. And the scribes and the Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou? This they said, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down, and with his finger wrote on the ground, as though he heard them not. So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. And they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even until the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had lifted up himself and saw none but the women, he said unto her, Woman, where are those thine accusers? Hath no man condemned thee? She said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee. Go, and sin no more. Then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. John. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me, while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground, and made clay of the spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation sent. He went his way therefore, and washed, and came seeing. The neighbors therefore, and they which before had seen him that was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay, and anointed mine eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. 1 John. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. And this is his commandment, that we should believe on the name of his Son Jesus Christ, and love one another, as he gave us commandment. And he that keepeth his commandments dwelleth in him, and he in him. And hereby we know that he abideth in us, by the Spirit which he hath given us. I will now read correlative readings from Miscellaneous Readings and Science and Health by Keys to Scripture by Mary Baker Eddy. Article is Christian Theism. Scholastic theology elaborates the proposition that evil is a factor of good, and that to believe in the reality of evil is essential to a rounded sense of the existence of good. This frail hypothesis is founded upon the basis of material and mortal evidence, only upon what the shifting mortal senses confirm and the frail human reason accepts. The science of soul reverses this proposition, overturns the testimony of the five erring senses, and reveals in clearer divinity the existence of good only, that is, of God and his idea. This postulate of divine science only needs to be conceded to afford opportunity for proof of its correctness and the clearer discernment of good. Seek the Anglo-Saxon term for God, and you will find it to be good. Then define good as God, and you will find that good is omnipotence, has all power. It fills all space, being omnipresent. Hence, there is neither place nor power left for evil. Divest your thought, then, of the mortal and material view, which contradicts the ever-presence and all power of good. Take in only the immortal facts which include these, and where will you see or feel evil, or find its existence necessary, either to the origin or ultimate of good? It is urged that from his original state of perfection, man has fallen into the imperfection that requires evil through which to develop good. Were we to admit this vague proposition, the science of man could never be learned. For in order to learn science, we begin with the correct statement, with harmony in its principle. And if man has lost his principle and its harmony, from evidence before him, he is incapable of knowing the facts of existence and its concomitants. Therefore, to him, evil is as real and eternal as good, God. This awful deception of evil's umpire and empire, that good, God, understood, forcibly destroys. What appears to mortals from their standpoint to be the necessity for evil is proven by the law of opposites to be without necessity. Good is the primitive principle of man, and evil, good's opposite, has no principle, and is not and cannot be the derivative of good. Thus, evil is neither a primitive nor a derivative, but is suppositional. In other words, a lie that is incapable of proof, therefore wholly problematical. The science of truth annihilates error, deprives evil of all power, and thereby destroys all error, sin, sickness, disease, and death. But the sinner is not sheltered from suffering from sin. He makes a reality of evil, identifies himself with it, fancies he finds pleasure in it, and will reap what he sows. Hence the sinner must endure the effects of his delusion until he awakes from it. From Science and Health. The best sermon ever preached is truth, practiced and demonstrated by the destruction of sin, sickness, and death. Knowing this, and knowing too that one affection would be supreme in us and take the lead in our lives, Jesus said, "No man can serve two masters." We cannot build safely on false foundations. Truth makes a new creature, in whom old things pass away, and all things are become new. Passions, selfishness, false appetites, hatred, fear, all sensuality yield to spirituality, and the superabundance of being is on the side of God good. If men would bring to bear upon the study of the science of mind half the faith they bestow upon the so-called pains and pleasures of material sense, they would not go on from bad to worse until disciplined by the prison and the scaffold. But the whole human family would be redeemed through the merits of Christ, through the perception and acceptance of truth. For this glorious result, Christian Science lights the torch of spiritual understanding. Truth is revealed. It needs only to be practiced. Truth's immortal idea is sweeping down the centuries, gathering beneath its wings the sick and sinning. My weary hope tries to realize that happy day when man shall recognize the science of Christ and love his neighbor as himself, when he shall realize God's omnipotence and the healing power of divine love in what it has done and is doing for mankind. The promises will be fulfilled. The time for the reappearing of the divine healing is throughout all time. And whosoever layeth his all on the altar of divine science drinketh of Christ's cup now, and is endued with the spirit and power of Christian healing. In the words of St. John, he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. This comforter I understand to be divine science.